Welcome to the Live Loving live stream with John Davis. Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Live Loving live stream. I am so excited to be here. Before I go further, before I say anything else, I want to thank you guys directly because this live stream would not be possible were it not for you guys making sure that this beautiful computer to my right here was possible, because the other one was definitely not making it anymore. And through your generous donations, and in 4 days' time, we were able to get enough money to replace that old computer. And I am so grateful for you. I'm overwhelmed by your generosity and the love that came from you pouring out to me and this channel, because for me, this channel is all about you and bringing you to your power and your divinity. And it fills my heart to be able to continue to make these kind of things, live streams and videos and things of that nature. And you guys truly do make it possible. So thank you so much. Hello, everybody. And I'm so happy to be here as well. Hello. Who we got? We got Chitra and Bridget. And is that TJ Black? My eyes are getting to be 60 some odd years old. Hello, Lord Wootsy. How are you? Pleasure to see you here as well. Guys, I have a special guest this evening, which I'm going to bring in just a few minutes. And very interesting. This person who's coming in tonight is someone I met a while ago and just kind of liked her. She's one of those just authentic people who I thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with, and I did a reading for her as well. And she started a new YouTube channel. She's a tarot card reader, and I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to hear her story and a little bit about herself. And tonight, she's actually going to do a tarot card reading for me, and you guys are gonna witness her reading me. And I told her, this is what I told her, that I am in a completely open book to you guys. So I don't care where she goes. I don't care if it's even embarrassing. She can go there. Whatever comes out, comes out. So before I go any further, let me introduce my guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the lovely Marcy Layton. How are you, Marcy? How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm fine, and that is so very kind of you. Thank you, John.
Oh, it was all true. I wasn't blowing wind up your skirt, I promise.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are quite welcome. I've seen a couple of your videos, and guys, if you want to jump over to Spirit Made Me Do It on YouTube, that's her new channel, and she's already putting out really great stuff. So make sure you go over, check her out, subscribe. And earlier today, we recorded something that's going to be on that channel real soon. And maybe I'll let Marcy tell you a little bit about that. Marcy, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, I'm very excited. John offered to let me interview him, and we talked about his experience, his past life experience, and we asked some interesting questions and got some interesting answers. So I hope to have that out by Sunday, and I would love for you guys to come by and once enough to put in a link for a discount on his readings. So thank you again for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. So we did have a little glitch out there. Just what she said was, it'll go out on Sunday, and there is a discount for readings with me on her site, like I always do with every place I interview. So so you can go over to watch her video, and then get $50 off of a reading with me. So we had a little bit of a glitch there, but not a bad one. So it's good. So Marcy, I'm fascinated by your personal journey and how you came to be where you are. I'm fascinated to hear about how you came to be doing what you're doing. And why don't you tell us just a little bit about what got you going down a spiritual path and what really puts you into a place where you are now and what you're doing now?
Well, I have always felt like I was on a spiritual path. From my earliest memories, I can remember experiencing full-bodied apparitions with my own eyes. So that kind of got put on hold because, everybody tells you that it's your imagination and don't pay attention to those things. So I put it under, but I always felt a very, very close connection with God and always had that feeling of love. um, my aunt had a dog that was hit by a car, and I was putting my hand over the dog after he came back from the hospital with a broken leg, and I had my hands over him, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm healing him with my love." And I was so sure that I was healing him with my love. um, my mom got me going to tarot readers at a fairly young age. I think the first tarot reader I ever saw I was 14, and I was absolutely hooked, absolutely hooked. Um, when I was in my junior year of high school, a friend of mine was abducted, and I was praying to God to please help me to be psychic so I could help find him and I could help find missing children. And what I didn't realize is that I was getting communications all along. It's just that I wasn't understanding what those communications were. I thought my head was just arguing with itself. I thought it was just coincidences when I get these feelings and then something would happen. Um, it wasn't until probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago that I really started getting into the tarot card readings. And I actually became the first licensed fortune teller in the town of Bourne, because our state requires you to have a license to read tarot cards, and you have to go through your town to get it. So that was a fun little journey. But when I finally got my license, I felt like it was an invitation. I had earned my place at the table, and it was time for me to go forward and really get involved. So that's what I'm doing.
That's a great story. I love the fact that you started young. For me in my journey, it was very interesting because my journey seems like it started late, but what I
Mm.
didn't realize is I was having these huge experiences my entire life, and when the first reader from the Association for Research and Enlightenment read for me, she told me all these things that happened to me as a child. And I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And my brothers and sisters totally filled me in. So it was a very unique thing. Well, I'm excited to dive into getting you to read for me. So, is there anything I need to know or anything I need to think about, or you're just going to pull those cards and throw it at me?
As I always say before a reading, just to be aware that anytime anybody reads you, it's based on the energies as they are right now. So we can always, if something comes with the cards that makes you nervous, you can always change that. It's kind of like having insider trading, because you know what's coming and you can change the outcome of it. Like you said, we have control over our lives. We create our own reality. So just it's based on the energies of now and on free will. We all have our own free will. So, are you ready to try to get started on this? Because the cards is
There's no trying in my world, baby. Let's go.
well, well, I have to tell you, what just fell out of the deck while I'm shuffling is the Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords is a card about, where am I here? It's a card about retreat. There we go. It's a card about retreat. It's a card about relaxing. And to me, this would indicate that somebody might feel like they're at a standstill in their life. They feel like they've come to even though things are happening, they feel like there's something more that's supposed to be coming. And if you look in the corner, you can't really see here, but in the corner on this side is a stained glass window, and it's a man giving a child, well, probably a priest giving a child a blessing. So this indicates that you might feel like you're at a little bit of a lull, but something's coming. So this could get kind of interesting. Let's see where this goes.
Great. I'm excited.
Just laying out the rest of the card. First, I have to ask, and this is going to sound really, really crazy. Uh, do Fruit Loops mean anything to you?
Does Footloose?
Fruit Loops.
Um,
Fruit Loops. You know, the
fruit
little
fruit
cereal, the little
Fruit Loops.
Fruit
When I was a kid, I that was my favorite cereal. That was absolutely
Was
my
it?
favorite cereal. Fruit Loops
Okay.
and Sugar Pops were my favorite cereal. And but my
Oh,
mom would have bought me Fruit Loops on a regular basis.
okay. Okay. Because when I pulled a little play out of your playbook and I did a little, meditation beforehand to see what I came up with for you. And what actually came up was, first of all, like Fruit Loops. And then I got life is but a dream. As you move into your new life, it will be dreamlike in quality. Run with the joy. This new venture is an adventure. And the
Yeah.
card that I have next, crossing you, is a card of collaboration.
Oh.
So, is there something that's coming up that you're not telling us about? Might there
There's
be a new?
actually a lot of stuff that's possible right now. I laughed
Mhm.
earlier because you said life could be a dream. I used to be in an a cappella group, and one of the songs I used to sing on a regular basis was "Life could be a dream if only all my precious plans could come true."
Yeah.
Shaboom. So yeah, so that was a. I can't sing too much of that, or this video will get flagged. um, but um, but yeah, I have a lot coming up. I have a guy in Europe who's trying to get me to write a book with him right now, and
Mm,
I I'm feeling like I'm going to put him off until I get my book done. But the
yeah.
potential to work with him and his company is could be, he's running a business right now that's based in how to run business out of love, and he wants to write a book about avatar leadership or leading with love, and so he'd like to have me be one of the resources for that book. And so it
Excellent.
potentially it could be a very lucrative thing. Yeah.
It would be. What's coming up here is the surprise. We have a little surprise in the cup.
Okay.
And so there's going to be information that's going to be coming forward about that I think is going to really, actually, it could be something different
Okay.
that comes as a surprise. I think there's something coming up that you aren't quite aware of yet.
Okay.
Oh. In the past position in the layout that I have, we have the Ace of Cups. Now, there's a little poem that goes with this, and it's joy within the home and heart. Blessings come with this new start. This is my favorite card in the deck.
Hmm.
But this is your past. I mean, we have the Eucharist in this picture. You have the dove of peace. You have the chalice. So it's funny because that religious side is definitely in the past.
Right.
Your
Absolutely.
spiritual side is here,
Yeah.
but the religious part is absolutely in the past. I just did something here to the computer. There we go. That's a little better. At the top of the deck, what's coming up is it's the Four of Pentacles. Now, this is the second four that's come up, and fours to me are about stability. It's about building a foundation, and this card is definitely about security, about financial security.
Hmm.
So this is going to be a lucrative venture. That I mean, you're in the next 2 to 3 months position. You have the Magician, which is the manifesting card. How perfect would that be? Is that to come up for you? Because you and your manifesting, it's outrageous, right? Your ability
Yeah,
to.
I'm all behind that. I'm all behind that.
So that's funny. You've got the card of success and information, good information coming in. And this is right next to the Page of Cups. So this is new information that's coming in that is it's talking about how lucrative
Hmm.
things can be for you. You're really, it's so funny that the as you move into your new life, they're not talking about a new chapter. They're talking about a whole new book.
Uh,
It feels like it's something really major. It will bring about a dreamlike quality.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of says it right there. And a trip overseas.
Oh,
So that's work or working with somebody overseas.
well, okay. The
And
guy,
here you are. Should I do this? Should I do that? What should I do?
and that contract comes with several trips overseas
There
because
you go.
they're based in
Is it?
Sweden.
Oh,
So yeah,
oh. I
interesting.
just got like a feeling of like a love connection there when
Oh
you said
no.
Sweden.
uh,
Maybe you should be talking to
you,
this
you,
guy about going.
you mean romantic love like that?
Yes, yes, yeah,
Okay. Well,
absolutely.
we can always change the future, right?
Well,
Triple X. Triple X.
well, it'll be there if you should. But let me tell you, she's coming up as the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands is really somebody who, well, it's kind of like a witchy card. So they're very into the spiritual, and they have all of those beliefs. But this is also a card of a woman who just does not care what
Hmm.
anybody else thinks. Not in a bad way.
Hmm.
She's
No,
just her authentic self.
yeah, and
And
that's
she's somebody who's spontaneous and loving, and somebody who really attracts Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, that type of an energy.
hmm.
Could be oh, and she's showing up again at the outcome.
Oh,
The outcome card is the Empress. Now, these cards are really gender neutral. I mean,
sure, sure.
but having your outcome card be the Empress, I mean, that's about good love, good health, good life,
That
health.
that sounds wonderful. What you went back to health? What's that?
We went back to health. You having little like palpitations and stuff?
Somebody just said I'm blushing. um, um, I don't have I don't have palpitations. I'm actually I'm in the middle of a diet right now. I'm dropping weight because my sleep
Okay.
apnea got out of control a little bit, and so
Okay.
I'm bringing my sleep apnea back into ordinary right now, but not really palpitations now.
You might want to bring in some electrolytes,
Okay,
uh, because you could start getting palpitations, and if you do, it's probably related to the loss of electrolytes when you
okay,
lose from losing the weight.
that makes
So,
sense.
I mean, it didn't feel like anything big, nothing that I felt like was a concern. But I just took a card from another deck because I felt inspired to. And this card is totally, totally you.
Oh,
This is this is the King of Cups. The King of Cups is wonderful, wonderful energy. He's a good man. He's a man that somebody goes to for advice. He's emotionally balanced. He's just got it all going on, and very generous and loving. And that to me is a perfect description of you.
aw, thanks.
You're welcome. Your energy itself is it's. I wish you could see what I feel, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of like I heard the numbers, but I heard what the numbers were saying. That kind of a weird expression, but what I feel kind of in my head is goes to like a light. I can see what your soul is almost. And your energy is just so loving and so calm and so beautiful. And what I really love is every now and again you get this almost this little twinge, just a tiniest little twinge of like shyness. Like did I say that, or is that really what I'm it's kind of like that kind of a feeling. Is that accurate? Does that sound accurate to
Well,
you?
let me tell you. When I was in high school, I was so shy that my teachers didn't know my name a month into classes. Yeah, I was the kid who never said a word. I was completely shy. It wasn't until I went into acting that I was actually able to speak in front of people. I was that closed off. Yes, I was
My
very
nephew's
shy.
like
Pardon?
My nephew that I talked to you about earlier, he's like that. He was like that, and he's incredible. I mean, he gets up on stage and sings and
Man.
dances, and I mean, he's amazing.
I
So,
now I've done over 4,000 live comedy sword fighting shows. I've done 10 years of speaking on stages and corporations. I can walk on any stage anywhere now and speak no problem. But boy, there's every so often there's still that moment where you're in a certain situation, and it's just you don't know. There's a shyness. You're absolutely right. You read that perfectly. Good job,
it's funny,
Marcy.
isn't it? I mean, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Friday the 13th and Mars, Mercury retrograde didn't play into this at all, did
Not
it?
at all. It was perfect. Friday. I didn't realize, like you and I were talking earlier, I had no idea it was Friday the 13th. But
Oh,
as
yeah.
I said to you in our interview earlier, my ancestors are from the Rose line, so I go back to Templar Knights, and
Yeah.
so it makes Friday the 13th and Templar Knights usually don't get along.
I would say not. I would say not.
But I was excited
I
that it'd be today.
I was inspired to make my own deck. I
Oh,
have these little sayings that I've been inspired to put on the deck, and I mean this goes without saying, but this card fell out, and I know you can't read it, but it says you are guided by the angels. So, yeah,
that
and setting boundaries with draining people doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you love yourself more.
right,
But you don't
right.
have problems with boundaries, but so that must be something for somebody in the audience, perhaps.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So,
So Marcy, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. A
oh gosh,
little bit on,
okay,
just a little bit. So if you were to
uh huh.
just think of anybody in the audience, anybody listening, and draw one card, would that have an effect?
Yeah,
So
I mean, if there's a message, so let's do it.
let's
Let's.
give it a
Do you want
shot.
one of these written cards? One of the cards
Whatever
I've
cards.
written.
What do you guys in the audience think in the chat room? What do you guys think? You like Marcy to pull a card for you guys and see if it connects to one of you guys or more? Oh, they're still talking about you blushing over there. There's a yes,
Let's do it.
yes, yeah. They're all saying yes, and
It's so funny because this card just flipped out again, the same card. You are guided by the angels. So that's a message for all of you. I mean, I tell my clients all the time, we've got like a whole posse on the other side that's there to support us. I mean, whether it's the collective conscience or whatever,
conscious, yeah,
we have people to support us. So act like it. Be fearless.
yeah. Awesome, awesome.
It's like,
That
don't be afraid. Go forward.
it's absolutely perfect. I think absolutely perfect. So,
Is
ladies
there
and
a
gentlemen,
Janet? Is there a Janet in the audience?
oh, I don't see one in the chat room, but is there a Janet out there, you guys? If there's a Janet, go ahead and
Or if somebody knows a Janet?
or knows a Janet. Exactly right. If anybody knows a Janet or is a Janet that's watching right now, just let us know. And we don't mean from what's that musical? Damn it, Janet. um, oh my God,
The Rocky Horror Picture
Rocky
Show.
Horror Picture Show. Thank you very much. There's a Becky.
I got you. Well, if anybody knows a Janet or comes across a Janet or a Jane or a J name in general, this message is really important. It's don't break yourself trying to fix someone else.
Okay.
Or if that resonates with anyone.
Don't
Um,
break yourself trying to fix
just
someone else.
yeah, we so often we're just, I mean, women especially get into relationships, especially when we're in our early 20s, we find a bad boy that we want to fix, and that never turns out well. You don't want to have to fix anyone.
Oh, and Becky
You
says,
need
"Oh my
peace
gosh, my
whole.
boss is Jaina, and she's a beast." You can't fix
Okay, so
her.
this
You
was
can't fix
probably
her,
for you.
Becky.
Don't break take yourself trying
Right.
to and trust. This one came up too. Trust is a future opportunity.
Ah,
So I love that one. That
yeah,
one
that
that was
that
a fairly new one that came up
that's
today.
so. Let me ask you a question, Marcy. Do you often read for yourself?
I can't read for myself. When
Yeah.
if I try to read for myself, I'm like, oh, I don't like that. It must mean this, you know. You kind of like, you can't really do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't anyway.
Yeah.
Other
For
people, I'm
most,
sure.
I find that most intuitives can't, and
Yeah,
they're not clear enough for themselves because, when I do my private sessions, it's all about. I say that they're in the eye of a hurricane, and I'm a spotter plane on the outside of the hurricane. I can see the pathway out, but they can't
right,
because of the swirl around them. And it's the same
right.
thing when I sit down and do automatic writings for me. They're never as clear for me as they are for somebody else. But I do them for myself all the time. But but they're never as clear.
I actually, if I do the automatic writing, I can absolutely get something.
Yeah.
I've actually ever since it was December 31st that you had the video about the automatic writing,
Yeah.
and or December 30th. It was one of those days. But I sat right down and did it, and I was shocked. I was just totally amazed at how clearly it came through, and I was stunned. So I do it every night. I
Yeah.
do it every day. I'll either do it for myself or I'll ask somebody if they want me to do it. Now I do it for all of my clients before I have a reading with them. I'll do that as well. And it's been right on. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And do you feel that when you do that writing that you have to set yourself aside before you do that, right?
oh yeah. Yes, I have this whole big thing where I have to ask for my ego to be removed from the situation because I am an Aries. And sometimes we have more confidence than we have any right having. So
Right.
removing yourself out of the situation is not an easy thing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
I,
it's hard to get out of your own way sometimes.
Yeah, it totally is. For me, I do it just like I'm meditating. I stop and I we all know that I don't meditate. I sit in love. That's what I call it.
Yes.
So I just
Yeah.
do that thing where I write their name down and whatever pops into my head. And sometimes it's the weirdest stuff. The
Like
weirdest
the
stuff
Fruit
pops in
Loops.
there. But it always applies to them. Because
Yes.
that's where the focus is. So I find that just utterly fascinating. So, ladies and gentlemen, Marcy has agreed to help me answer some of your questions tonight. So whatever questions you have, just pass them to me, and I'll read them off. So Marcy, I don't think you can see the chat board, can you? I don't think you can.
No,
So,
I can't.
well,
No.
Shoebox Diary says Marcy is my half sister! Exclamation point. Well, and is that your half sister for real, or is that a new
I
Marcy?
don't have a half sister as
Well,
far
so
as
it
I
must be it
know.
must be a different Marcy then. Alexander says, Marcy, you're doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So, guys, this is the point where give us questions either for me or for Marcy. Could be anything that you want to know about us or oh, a family joke. Marcy is my half. You're saying that your half sister is the family joke? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. Now I know who that is.
Oh, oh, you know who that is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a family joke that I'm like the half aunt, I'm the half sister,
Okay.
my
There you
brother
go.
Billy, or my sister-in-law Sue. It's one of them.
So Denise would like to know if you could pull a card and see whether she'll be able to sell her place before May. Is that something you can do?
Yeah, we can try.
Sure.
I mean, timing is always as difficult because again, everybody has free will and things can change. But they just made me switch decks. So let's
Right.
see. I'm sorry, her name was Denise. Yeah,
Yep. Denise
I,
Sanchez.
this popped out of the deck, which is it's a decision really. It's the Two of Cups, and That's a love card. That's a really strong soulmate card. But that coming out with the house, the person that you're working with is really good at what they're doing. Um, let's just get a yes or no. Is Denise going to sell her
Yeah,
house before May? Let me go with
yeah.
the million decks.
Yeah.
This one wants to come out. All right, let's see what this one says. And it's a yes card. It says yes right there in the corner. So
There you
I'm
go.
having a real hard time being backwards here.
There you go. By May. So she said yes. So keep your
Yeah,
intention.
by
Keep
May.
your belief that you have right now, because that's the motion that's happening right now. So hold on to
You
that
get
yes
what you
until you sell
expect.
your house. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
you get what you expect. So if you expect it to sell, it will sell.
Right. So
Good
here's
luck
what.
to you. How exciting.
Yeah. So Beth says, and we can both answer this one. I'll get your thought on it anyway. I'm working on a project in honor of my father. Does he know this on the other side? So, from my perspective, you're the one who's away. You're the one who's down here in this illusion of separation. Your father's in the oneness of God, right? And so your father's always around. Your father knows everything that's happening all the time. You're the one who doesn't know what he's doing. So understand your father, your loved ones are always with you, always part of that. They're called loved ones because they're part of love, and God is love, and everything is love, and so they're all around. So it's our fears that keep us not experiencing that love. Marcy, what's your thought on that?
Well, I have to tell you, and I don't use this word very often, and just popped up was I concur.
I
I
concur.
usually don't use that expression, but I concur came up. So I don't know if that means something to somebody out there
Oh,
that's watching,
maybe,
but
maybe Dad would have said that. Maybe
maybe
you have to
Dad
let
would say
have to let
exactly.
us know. So, Richard, you've asked me to talk about the Last Supper. It's a very interesting thing. I've been asked about the Last Supper several times. Um, I don't remember a specific Last Supper. I remember suppers, right? But I don't remember one that was labeled the last one. And the stories that you hear in the Bible, I have no memory of. Now, that doesn't mean that didn't happen. It just means that I personally didn't recall that in my regressions and in my experiences. It may have happened. It may not have happened. It may be something that was added in for whatever reason, but I really can't give you a definitive answer either way. So let me jump to another one. So I'm struggling with my job right now. Is everything going to be okay? As I said, my boss truly is a beast. Okay. You want to go first, Marcy, and then I'll jump in?
I'm just gonna just cut this deck right here and see what it says. And it says yes. And it's the strength card.
Yeah.
Just handle it the way you handle things.
Yeah.
Don't put emotion on the situation. This is bringing you to another place. It might even be bringing you to another job. But just be you, do it lovingly, be courageous, and it'll work out the way it's supposed to work out. But you could be being moved into a different situation.
I, I love what she just said, that she pulled the strength card, because your entire question starts with the contraction of I'm, and it was followed by the word struggling. And I'm is Jesus's or God's nickname, not Jesus, is God's nickname.
Mhm.
God is I am. I am struggling is a declaration of struggling, and so you're creating that struggle within yourself. The reality of it is, if you're strong, you can choose something different. And the fact that she drew a card of strength means you are the creator, you are the divine, you are the powerful, and so you can choose to create a positive outcome from any experience. What I would highly suggest that is, if you want to look forward into your future, don't try to figure out all the little minutia. Just say, this is what my future is going to feel like, and get yourself into that feeling. I am joyfully receiving a life, doing something I love, surrounded by people I love, and people who love me in return, feeling like I have purpose and I'm creative, and whatever really feels good to you, and just present moment declare it and hold on to it with all your strength until it comes together and forms around your experience. I hope that answers your question. Let's jump into the next one. Sorry about my poor English, but I am curious about how you get the message from within. Is it a voice, a feeling, or simply getting the first thought in the mind? What's your thought, Marcy?
All of the above and
Yeah.
more. I mean, sometimes you get goosebumps. Sometimes with me, because I was talking to you about this earlier, I live a very, very magical life. So the information comes to me on license plates, with the way animals are acting, overheard conversations, songs on the radio, things that just pop into my head. I mean, they pop in from somewhere, right? There, it's coming from somewhere. Um, I hear and I see the words spelled out, and if I see the word spelled out while I'm hearing it, then I know that that's not me. I know that's something that I've channeled, something that's come in as information from another point.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me go back. I just want to. um, for me, it literally just like Marcy said, it comes in all kinds of different ways. But for me, it only comes when I clear myself out of its way. So I've got to come to that space where I let it all go. And then what happens is in that moment, sometimes I'll get a word, sometimes I'll get a picture. And people say, "Are you hearing voices?" And there's always people, "I'm hearing voices," right? That kind of thing. But the way I describe the voice, it's like hearing somebody else's thoughts. It's not like I'm audibly hearing it, but sometimes, like if I there's something that wants to get my attention, I'll hear my name called out loud, and John,
Right.
what? And it'll come from a very specific direction, and nothing there, but something will catch my attention that tells me the thing that's connecting with me. So it's just a matter of all of your senses are a way to bring information through, and it's just a matter of being open and not judging the information as it's coming through, and just letting it flow.
Yes. Also, what I'd like to point out is that the information often comes in your own voice.
Right.
The only time I hear a different voice is if it's something immediate. I have what I call the drill sergeant. And if she wants something done, I mean, she's like, boom. One day I was in the hospital and she said, cats heard it clearly. And I asked for a CAT scan. I told them I was getting a headache and they discovered a tumor. So I had no symptoms of a tumor. And
Mm.
I got the CAT scan. She told me to get the CAT scan. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
It comes in all different ways.
All different
And it's
ways.
different for everybody. You have to learn how you're communicating. You have to learn the language. And it's
Right.
different for everybody.
Right. And a lot
So,
of times, as the person who's the creator, it's sometimes you can declare what it is. You can say, "Okay, I am going to hear it this way, or I'm going to see it this way." For me, my automatic writing before private sessions, I say, "I am going to automatically write for this person that I'm about to read for," and that by declaring it that way, it just comes out in that way. But like when
yeah.
my friend Tim was about to get engaged, and I was talking to him, and suddenly a picture of a photograph he took popped into my head, and the photograph was his girlfriend sitting on the other side of a bonfire, where he used to shoot off model rockets, and they used to go out and shoot off model rockets, and he'd fire it, and she liked to go catch them, so she'd run and she'd catch them. And I saw this picture, and I said, "Tim, you need to ask her to marry you when you're out shooting rockets in a fun way." And he reached over to his desk and he pulled out a model rocket. He popped the nose cone off, and the engagement ring was in the nose cone. And he was launching it. She was going to catch the ring. So
Oh,
so beautiful. So
it
um,
is.
let me jump into one of these other ones. So, Chitra, John, is there any significant spiritual significance to the full moon and no moon days? If you believe it, then it's going to be significant for you. I personally do not believe it. I personally believe the earth, the universe, and all we experience here is a product of belief and an illusion with an energy event in the image of God. And so the significance and the belief that we put our faith in is what is being shown to us. So if you put faith in the moon doing certain things, you're gonna have that as an experience. If you, it's like that's why when people cross over in near-death experiences and witness hell, it's because they believe there's a hell and they believe they've done something to deserve being there, right? And
Right.
right, and other people cross over and they see heaven, right? So it's a very different. Some people see Jesus, some people see Shiva. It's all about transitioning through our belief. But that said, do I personally go into the moon and all that? I don't. So that's I think it's all far simpler than that myself. You have any thoughts on that, Marcy?
It is far simple. It is far more simple than most people think. I absolutely agree with that. But like I said, I choose that magical life. So the moon, yes, I absolutely will go out the day before a full moon and release. I do this whole big thing. It's just psychologically makes me feel better. I go under the moon. I have a smelting pot that's been in my husband's family for generations. And I write down all of the things that I want to release, any worries, any tension. And I light it on fire and I put it in. And it's just something that I do for me. If you don't believe in it, you're absolutely right. It's what you believe. But to me, it just adds more magic. And like I said, I'm all about the magical life. So.
Right, right, right. So we have one here from Joan, and she says, "Is retiring by the end of the year for my highest and best good, or should I wait until the end of 2024?" I'm gonna have to ask you, Marcy, to pull a card on that one because I don't, I don't really have much of a.
Before before I pull a card, I want to say you will know exactly when. I wouldn't even concern myself with it because it's just going to come to you. You will know exactly when. There might be something that comes up that just makes you say, "I'm out of here. I'm
Right.
done." Um, but yeah, if you want to, you kind of have to. The card that I pulled, it's a no card, but I'm not feeling that it's a no. Like I said, you will know exactly when it's time to do this. But this card is about looking at things differently. Be very strategic about it. If you're one of those logical people, which I feel like you are, I feel like I'm almost feeling like a Libra energy. Like there's balance between the spiritual and the logical. But this card is about looking at things differently. In the background of this card, there's a war going on, and this guy is stealing the weapons. So he's ending the war by stealing the weapons. It's just going about it a different way. Look at your finances. Look at things a little differently, and maybe you'll be able to retire a lot earlier than you think. But you'll know when. You'll
Yeah.
know. Trust
Uh,
you. Trust you.
I agree with everything she said. Perfect. So Marcy, every so often you get somebody who wants to test somebody. And I think that's what this is. But I may be wrong. Okay, I've been wrong at least 3 times. I've been divorced 3 times. So Marcy, and this is directed to you, Marcy. Why is today so
Okay.
important to me? What is changing for me today? I think he's testing you, myself.
Oh, he absolutely is testing me, and I got to tell you, I'm getting nothing. I've got nothing. Although a baby did pop into my head. A child popped into my head. I don't know if it's a birthday or a birthday of somebody for you, for somebody who's important to you. I really, a baby popped into my head. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no. There's no sorries. About I am. I learned when I was young never to say I am Chitra when introducing myself. Rather, I'd say My name is Chitra. And it's an interesting, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, which I think is a really cool name, by the way, Chitra. Um,
Yes.
I don't know why you would be told not to say I am Chitra. I say I am John all the time, because I think of the name John and who I am as an embodiment of what I believe, and so, and I think the statement of I am John is a declaration that I am being authentic. I am John. I am Chitra, right? And in the Bible, when Moses talked to the burning bush, he says, I am that I am, you know? And so it's actually saying, I am who I am. So I would say, I am Chitra or I am John is just declaring who you are and being proud of it and being authentic with it.
God
Well,
lives in us as us.
that's exactly right. Exactly
So
right.
if you're declaring I am, you are saying that you recognize the God within yourself.
Right.
In my opinion.
Okay. So, Eric, I'm going to take this next question myself personally. I'm going to slam my hand on the table when I say it too. So, um, so my question is: will both my feet be okay because I still have plantar fasciitis? Okay. The reason I'm banging my hand on the table is because you are declaring plantar fasciitis. You know, you are literally saying to the world, I have this, and will it change if I keep believing I have this? That's what this statement actually means. And so the only way it changes, the only way you heal your plantar fasciitis is to literally say, I am receiving perfect health. I am receiving perfect feet. I am receiving and believing it, putting thought, word, and deed towards that outcome and believing it. Remember, Joshua said in the Bible, you know, it is your faith that heals you. Faith is just belief. But your statement itself believes in your ailment. You know, you don't want to put faith in your ailment. You want to put faith in your perfect feet. So there you go. Soapbox off. Do you agree with that, Marcy?
I do. I absolutely do. But you get what you expect.
You're
If you
doing great,
expect it to
Auntie Marcy.
continue,
Somebody just said, you're doing great,
well,
Auntie Marcy.
thank you, sweetie.
I agree too. You are doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Is my little doggy with my family and other pets on the other side? Miss her terribly. You want to go?
Yeah, they absolutely.
Oh.
She'll be there when you cross over yourself. They're all there.
Yeah, my dog visits me all the time in dreams, and my dog has been gone since 2005, and it's so strange. I have these very visceral dreams of going to someone's home, walking in the door and seeing my dog still alive, and the whole experience. I'm amazed he's still alive, and he runs over and he licks my face. He was a 110-pound Rottweiler, right? He was the giant lap dog, but he, it's so visceral and so real, and I just know that's just him stopping by for a visit. So yeah, the dogs are always there. I would like to know if getting a dog, we're into dogs right now, will be good for her and me. Yes, I'm a dog
I
lover.
think dogs are good for everybody.
Yeah, dogs. Yeah, and dogs. You know, you get up and you walk with your dogs. You get in physical activity. You take care of that dog. That dog gives you unconditional love. It can be nothing but good having a pet in some form. Oh, thank you, Chitra, for saying I'm saying it correctly. That's great. Thank you for answering my previous question. Your explanations were very clear, and it confirmed to me that messages happen when you are near to an I am moment. Okay, there you go. Okay, I understand your message, John. I hope it didn't sound harsh, my message to you, Eric. I just really want, the thing is, most people in this world are not in the present moment. They're in their past traumas or in the struggles of all the things that have brought them there. And sometimes those things are their health. And, you know, when that doctor, when I was 22 years old, a doctor told me I probably would never walk again. And I became a stuntman. I jumped off buildings. I did sword fights. I broke a bottle over Brad Pitt's head. You know, I've done crazy things in my life and a lot of physical stuff. all because I did not take someone else's belief, and I took my own and I lived it. My sister, I'm outing her. My sister Patty is in the house, and she said retirement happened for her just like you said, Marcy. It was like it was time to go, and so she just did it. Is my health going to improve this year? Have had some unacceptable diagnoses lately.
Do you want your health to improve? I mean, it's well, I have what I've cut to is a yes card, and it's a card of new beginnings. It's a card of information that's coming in as well. So hopefully, well, if you put it out there and you believe it and you're thankful ahead of time for what you're receiving, then it will be.
Yeah, and it will be as long as like she's saying, and this like she said earlier, this is what's reading in this moment. But it really does come up to you to believe and have that faith that it's going to happen, and hold
Yeah.
on to the momentum you have going right now, because that's hugely
Hmm.
important. I Chitra says I hear knocking, sometimes banging early in the morning around dawn or pre-dawn hours, but there's nobody I can see here. Any comments?
Check your plumbing. No, you know, we hear footsteps in our house all the time. And they're very distinct. We live in the house that my husband grew up in, and his father was a sergeant on the local police force. Well, my father was in security. He was a lieutenant in Raytheon, and they had those same shoes, which is a very distinct step. I mean, and those you know the sound. You know it's coming from somebody in law enforcement, and we hear that all the time in our house. Somebody could be trying to get your attention. If you feel like it's somebody trying to get your attention, then absolutely, it probably is. I mean, when you get nudges, when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, when it feels like somebody's running their hands through your hair, I mean, those are all things that do happen. But I always try to look for the logical reason first and see where it goes. But to me, it's more fun to believe the house is full of ghosts. So there we go. There's
Well, and
that.
let me tell you about ghosts, because my cousin Carlos committed suicide. He came back to me and had me deliver a
Hmm.
message to his mother. I feel my mom on a regular basis, and it's funny because I feel her sense of humor. And I'll be writing something that I think is funny, and I'll look over, and I'll get this feeling of just this my mom really snarking at it herself, thinking it's funny, right? But when I moved into this house that I'm in, my young son was here, and there's this house was one of the first houses built on this street, and built in the early 1900s. And originally it was probably only a 700 to 800 square foot house, and they've blown it out to a 3,200 square foot house, right? But the old section of the house, when we first moved in, something was going on over there. And my little son, at I forget how old he was, probably 7 at the time, going up the stairs, comes running back down. She says, "Dad, I just saw a woman walk from one side of the house to the other side of the house." Right? And he saw her walk by. Right? And I was like, okay. So I went and searched the house. Nobody was in the house, right? Then the next day, I was in our hall. We have a little half bath, and I was in there using the restroom. But the lights in this house are weird, and I just left the lights off and went into the dark. And I was sitting in this completely dark, enclosed room, no windows, and poof, flash of light in the room. And I'm like, okay, something's here. So I called up my
Yeah.
friend who was very much connected in that way to those things, and I was like, "What do you get about?" She says, "Yeah, there's somebody there who's really invested in what's happening with that house." And she says it's a woman, and it's like her house, and she's very protective of the house, and she's not harming you or anything, but she's just anchored there in a way. And I was like, okay. So I was like, she says, well, I'll see what I can do about clearing it. And so that night, she did it. She was in California, and we were here in Ohio. She did her clearing that night. We never saw her again. We never saw lights again. We never saw any of that stuff again after the clearing. But the day, I guess about a week or so later, I was talking to my next door neighbor. He's like, yeah, he says, I like that house. We have a history with that house. I said, what's the history? He says, that house used to be owned by my aunt. He says, and that was her house. And then, everything was meticulous in that house. He says, I don't know what she would have thought about it becoming a 3,200 square foot house. right. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes perfect sense to me. So, somebody says I missed a question here. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me throw another question at you, Marcy, while I go look for this other question. Becky says, my mother used a walker, and I've heard her walking in the kitchen. Is that a real thing?
Absolutely.
I agree. So is it? I don't know if is it FJ Black. I don't see where your other question is that I missed. So I've been pretty much hitting them, but I made there's a lot here. So maybe was that you answering? No. My brother is a trickster. I asked him to come see me after he passed, and one night someone grabbed my toes while I was sleeping. I freaked out. I could totally see my brothers and sisters doing that. I got a weird package in the mail today, and have no idea who it was from, and it was addressed to John the Not So Beloved Davis, right? And I opened it up, and it's 2 COVID tests. So somebody ordered me COVID tests and sent them to my house. So I thought was.
That's funny.
So I said that's somebody who cares but being snarky in their caring. But I come from a Catholic family, and Catholic families are all very snarky. Isn't that right, Sister Patty? We're snarky people. I can't find that question I missed, so I've gone all the way back to where I first asked if you wanted her, Marcy, to read. So unless that question was early on, I don't know. My sister said, "Yep, John, you said it." Oh, hello, Jeanette. How are you? Did we have a Janet question earlier?
Yes.
We have a Janet who just arrived. Jeanette, you're gonna have to go back and listen to the early part of this, because of the fact that there was a whole thing about a Janet, and I think Janet and Jeanette are pretty darn close. Snarky
Oh
is
my
very
goodness!
right.
What was that message?
Oh, I don't remember, but it's recorded, so you can go back and you can catch it on the. Yeah, Janet. She absolutely did. Marcy read on Jeanette. Is it Jeanette? It's spelled Jeanette, but she pronounced it Janet earlier. It's just the same thing. And by the way, the person whose name was Joan, my mom's name was Joan, so you have a special place in my heart. So, so guys, we have really done kicked some butt, and Marcy has been very generous in her time. I don't want to hold her up all night, and we're coming to the end of our hour anyway. So, Marcy, is there anything that you'd like to say, or tell them how to get a hold of you, online and stuff like that?
Well, you can, if you're looking for a reading, you can go to ariesstottle.com that John has right there on the picture. And my channel is Spirit Made Me Do It. And I would love to have you join. I talk about how journeys are different. And I can't tell you how your journey is going to unfold, but if I tell you a little about mine, you might see some similarities there. So we would love to have you come by. And thank you so much for having me on and allowing me to read for and answer some of your questions for you. So thank you so much, all of you.
Well, I will speak for the rest of them because I know you can't see what they're writing, and only I can. But I'm sure we all had a great time with you, and I'm sure that they loved what was happening here. And they're all saying thank you both, thank you, for that. And oh, by the way, my sister said that the person after that I said was Joan, the next person who was commenting was Richard, and my dad's name was Richard. So we have Joan
My
and Richard.
husband's name's Richard.
What'd you say?
My husband's name is Richard.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So I knew I liked you for a reason. But yeah, it's been lovely, guys. Make sure you go over to Spirit Made Me Do It. Make sure, Marcy's just started their channel. So be in the first 150 people. There's 29 on here right now. But what's so interesting about these live streams is right after we're done, within a couple hours, we'll be over 200 views on this live stream. So go over to her channel and make her numbers blow up. I mean, go over there and subscribe and get a reading from her and do all that stuff. And don't forget, Sunday, she's putting out the interview she did with me as well. So you'll get to hear her interview me and talking about that. And on her channel, you can click that link for that $50 off a private session with me as well. So so make sure you go there and subscribe. And don't forget to push the thumbs up button. That's exactly right. Thank you, Bridget. It's been a lovely evening with you all. Thank you all, and good night. See you, Marcy. Thank you for being here.
Take care. Thank you. My pleasure.
Let me find the closer here. Here we go. And go. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.